Hello, everyone. I'm just testing the microphone here. If anyone can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
You're on my end.
Thank you.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Hello.
Hello.
I was just about to call you, Ozzy. I wasn't going to start the meeting without you.
Hi, they said they would like me to speak. I just wanted to know, I have to leave in an hour for another meeting. Is this going to be,
Did
I
you
would
take
like
a
to,
look? Did
yeah,
you take a look at the agenda?
there were 3 meetings I wanted to do tonight.
Wow.
And
Let me take a look at the agenda.
all right, no problem. So I'm going to get this meeting going. Cool. Who am I speaking with? Keltham from where?
Holly, yes.
From?
116 Pinehurst, Hudson View Gardens.
I wasn't aware that you had a presentation in our agenda. Are you sure you're in the right committee?
I don't have a presentation.
Okay, then. So I guess we're going to start the way that we should be by calling the meeting to order. It's 7:03. Thank you, Chanel, for doing the technology part and being the host that you've always been thus far. Jocelyn, welcome. Aurelia, Ozzy, Mary, can't see you, Mary. Someone that resembles to be Alneo de Castillo, but it's not.
How you doing? I'm Captain Kevin Sample. I'm an executive officer. Inspector Castillo couldn't be here tonight, so I'm just taking it for him.
Thank you for being with us. Roberta, Cross, Emily Martin, Ms. Calloway, Myrna, who else? Eli, Ellie, Maria Curi, and that's it. And Luana Ferreira. Luana, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? How's everybody?
But it's good on a rainy night. So I'm gonna, again, for the second time, welcome all of you for taking the time to participate in what hope to be a productive meeting in which we're gonna converse and talk about some reportings and presentations that we get to comment on, and budget review. Hopefully it'll be a bit of a training session. Most of us have been already part of past budget reviews, but those of you who have not, this is a good opportunity to learn from it. So I'm gonna start by getting is the 33rd present today? Is it not? Either way, we're gonna start with Captain XO. What's your last name again?
Samples, Captain Kevin Sample. I'm executive officer in the 3-4 precinct. How you doing?
Go ahead. Floor is yours.
All righty. So just to go into the overview of crimes, as you know, or if you don't know, we do it in a 28-day format. It's kind of like a month, but for us, it's easier to do it in a 28-day breakdown. So we're up in almost every category with the exclusion of grand larcenies and GLAs. Driving crimes are robberies. Last year was at 14. This year's at 32, 128.6% increase robberies, I mean, all over the map is crazy for us. More in particular is our nightlife. They usually come out after midnight when the clubs are out and forcibly remove property at gunpoint. With me and Inspector Castillo, we have established a robbery plan to have our specialty personnels, our neighborhood safety teams, our public safety teams to do later tours to help combat that. And so far, we think it's working, it's going in the right direction, but we still have some work to do. Crime prevention officers are out, basically talking to you guys as well as the public in regards to it, giving out pamphlets and letting everybody know what's going on, so that way they can be safe out there when they're clubbing throughout the nights. Other than that, again, GLAs is down, thank God. Catalytic converters was a big deal for us, but it seemed like it's going in the right direction. And so I got for now at this point. Anything for me?
Ozzy?
Yes. Any animal cruelty? Normally, in the last 6 or so months, we start getting reports about animal cruelty.
Nothing that I can see that's jumping off the paper. I can get back to you on that, as well as my community affairs, but I don't see anything about, like, when you say animal cruelty specifically, are you looking at something that you're concerned with?
No, I would like to know if there were any reports about animal cruelty, and of those reports, how many of them were founded?
Were what?
How many of them were proven to be like a real issue, like a case that you guys and the ASPCA had to get involved and so forth? Gotcha.
So
yeah.
Right now in front of me, I don't have the major crimes that's dealing with the 7 majors, which is murder, rape, robbery, felonious assault, burglaries, and grand larcenies, as well as grand larceny autos. I don't have numbers in front of me as far as animal cruelty. We definitely can get back to you. We do have animal coordinator, animal cruelty coordinator, which he was given to every precinct, that touched base with the ASPCA to make sure that any criminal matters with animal cruelty is corrected, but I don't have those numbers in front of me right now.
Okay. I'm not sure if you're aware, maybe you are. In 2014, the animal cruelty cases, the investigation of animal cruelty cases moved from the ASPCA to the NYPD for one big reason. It was proven that in some cases, people will make the leap from animal cruelty to human cruelty and murder and so forth. That's why it's extremely important to pay attention to animal cruelty cases and to not think that it's just a dog, it's just a bunny, and it's extremely, extremely important. And I strongly recommend that you guys may need to speak to the ASPCA on a regular basis. It's very important, very. And we had 2 dog fighting rings in our district. So
where is that exactly?
Okay, so dog fighting ring is when people are baiting on.
No, I know what dog fighting is. I'm actually with the locations.
Well, I'm not gonna put it in public. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, understand this, that any crime that we have, whether it be animal cruelty, whether it be the pet larcenies from Target, we take seriously. All right. As far as a coordination with ASPCA and my officers, if there is in fact something that needs to be handled, we'll definitely touch base with the ASPCA along with our detective squad if it's something that's severe that we have to do an investigation. So it's not something that we'll just throw off to the side. If it's something that, like dog fighting or any type of animal cruelty, cats, you name it, if it's something that needs to be investigated, we definitely will do what we can to investigate that.
Okay, I just wanted you to be aware that at least I am taking it extremely seriously.
Absolutely.
Extremely. Thank you.
Sure. No problem.
Thank you, Jose. There's two numbers that stand out from the report, from the concept last week. And I'm gonna sort of like shoot it out for you. And I'm gonna ask you once I give those numbers. Last year to date, there were on robberies, there was 14 robberies reported. This year alone, up to date, is 32. And you have 128% increase in robberies.
What are you looking at? So you're looking at the year-to-date for what period?
Year-to-date from the period of October 3rd to October 9th.
Okay, gotcha. Good.
From 14 went up to 32. Now, are those robberies, around which times are there mostly occurring?
So like I said, it's occurring after hours, more so in our club areas, the Dykmans, Nagels, and whatnot. Usually what we're seeing is individuals coming over from the Bronx in different vehicles, and they're robbing people at gunpoint. As I stated earlier, we've shifted all our specialty units to the later tours, 7 o'clock p.m. until 4 a.m. in the morning. If needed, go a little bit later to combat those robberies. As well, on the weekends, we do get enhanced coverage patrol. That's we're taking 3 or 4 from other precincts, 3 cars to help out in those robbery zones that we have that's going forth throughout the night. So that's our major concerns, is the patterns at nighttime. We did have pattern 82 early in the I would say like 2 months ago. That's with the individuals that was on the mopeds. They was riding in tandem, and it was like cookies, candies in a candy store, and running up on people at gunpoint. We implemented a enhanced plan that tackled that pattern 82, and the main culprit, it was Dylan Diaz. I believe he got arrested in the 4-1 precinct with a pistol on him, and he actually T-boned a vehicle, so he's really out of commission. But I'm thankful to say that that plan that we implemented for that pattern 82 helped out tremendously. We didn't get any scooter robberies during that plan, which was from like 12 midday to like 8 o'clock at night. All in Dykeman, Nagel, Sherman, 207. We had posts everywhere. You probably saw the big police van that we call a THV on Broadway. I would say like 2 months, like a month and a half ago. So we're hoping that same deployment that we had for that, we can use for this robbery plan that we have on the midnights to help combat that.
I have a question in the chat about the possibility of installing cameras in police cameras in parks entrances, considering the last crime wave, that of the 3 women that were assaulted in Fort Tryon in Washington Park, I believe. I forget the 3rd park. So
we did make an arrest on that, but as far as cameras, we do have cameras up in and around the vicinity. Unfortunately, we didn't have cameras in that space, but we got him coming out. We was able to ID him on the scooter with the clothes that he was wearing. So there's cameras all in around the vicinity of the parks that can help us out if a crime do happen into the parks.
And the 3rd question, have you considered coming back?
I'm sorry, you kind of muffled. I'm sorry, guys. Do it again.
Have you considered coming back to the checkpoints that you guys used to have in the 207 bridge? So
that was part of the deployment that we implemented when we had pattern 82, and we're still doing those checkpoints. We actually do joint checkpoint operations with the New York State Troopers throughout the month that help us out with having just omnipresence for these patterns that we have. We actually saw individuals that's coming over from the Bronx that will see our lights and see our checkpoints and turn around and go back to the Bronx. Not saying that these are the culprits, but when they see us, they want to turn around and go back to where they came from. So we implement the checkpoints throughout our later tours. In particular, my midnight platoon commanders, as well as my 4 to 12 platoon commanders, are designated as the checkpoint coordinator to do it on not just the 207 bridge, but the 181 bridge and our Broadway bridge up top, all 3 bridges, because we obviously see that is the roadways that's been used to commit these crimes and get away pretty much. So we are still implementing those checkpoints.
From the last report by CO Castillo, he mentioned that you guys had about 140 cops, police. You were 40 to 50 cops. Is there anything new as far as numbers wise, or do you guys?
Nothing. It's still the same. We are having a graduating class of recruits coming out, I believe, next week. I'm not sure how many we're getting per se, but we are going to get some, and it's going to help with our deployment plan as well. We usually put the FTU guys, the field training officers, in the crime zones for presence and to train them. Hopefully, in the next 3 months, when the previous class finished up their FTU training, we'll get some cops in. We're still short, but we're working with the best that we have. We always can use extra help. But unfortunately, at this point, this is what we got to go with.
Thank you. Barbara, maybe you need to come back to the council. They need help.
We need help. We need all the help we can get.
Thank you. Any other questions for Captain?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead, ma'am.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
I'm having an issue with the 911 response, and it's regardless if it's above ground or in the subways. And I was just told recently that one of the issues with the subways is when I call 911 and I get to the police department, they are not the subway police department. And it is not, I'm telling you, that's all I can say. And I got this when I was speaking to somebody in Espilat's office, because I was walking by and I went, I'll see if they can do anything, even though they're more federal. And this is what I was told. But I had my catalytic converter stolen the day before I was going on a road trip. So that was fun. And a neighbor's was stolen, and there was a video going around and the internet. And so I took the video, and it just had happened that morning. And I called 911 and they refused to come out because it wasn't my car. Now, I've heard this from many neighbors. If you are reporting something, it could be breaking into a store or something else, and it's not your store, they refuse to come out. This has happened to me time and again. So I lied and I said, it's my car. Okay, so I wait for like an hour. The two officers come, and I have notes on all of this. And among other things, they asked me what my birth date was. I don't understand this. They take the video off of my phone, and apparently they did nothing with it, because the next day I'm walking my dog and I see they finally found the two women whose cars it was that had the catalytic converter stolen. It's on tape. We've got everything, the getaway car, the people. And I go up to the detective who's talking to her, and I said, wasn't there a report made? And he said, no, I have nothing. So he didn't even have the film footage that I had of this. And then when I'm on the train, there was a guy who was shooting up, had all his paraphernalia sitting there. It's like 5 PM. It's not even, 2 AM. I call 911. I'm looking right at the guy. He's there. And I'm asked, believe it or not, well, what drug is he using? Really? Okay. And this is a consistent thing. They ask my phone number, they ask my address, they ask my name, and how do you spell. By the time we get around to it, it's done. It's like, well, okay, the crime is now over. The person is left. I finally said to her, I said, what drug is he taking? Okay, you're not sending anybody, are you? And they never did. And on 181st Street in the A-line is a particularly bad spot for finding needles and such. So here I am looking right at the guy. Nope, nothing. Gave him everything they could possibly ask and then some. And when I've been in New Jersey, just traveling around, and I've had to call 911, there was a fight and I called. They didn't even ask me my phone number, because you know why? They have it. And it's like, it's just this waste of time, and I don't know how to change the 911 system. And I really think it's important, because everybody I talk to has similar issues. I was thrown off my bike right under the GW Bridge, and I fractured my pelvis a couple of years ago. Do you know that they sent them the coordinates for Staten Island? They didn't come for an hour and a half. I'm lying there in agony. Staten Island? It's the George Washington Bridge. I don't know what to say. So it's like, the stories go on and on. That's all I'm saying.
So just trying to get like specific to your question, you asked about the 911 system, or when you're actually calling for a crime for someone else? Because
both. I'm calling it for a crime because not every crime is happening to me personally, thank God.
Right.
But I'm just saying I can't report a crime, or it just takes forever, or they ask me stupid questions like, what's he taking?
So let me go from our account. And when I say our, when dispatch sends out the job to us, it has priorities if something's happened in progress versus a job that happened in the past. Every job obviously is an issue, but if someone is getting robbed right now, we need to get to that job before we get to somebody who has their catalytic converter that was taken yesterday. If you get what I'm saying.
I totally understood.
So I can only assume when they ask you if you were the person who got the catalytic converter stolen was because they wanted to have the actual complainant there to do the criminal report for them, because you can't do the report for them. Now, to take the video, they absolutely could take the video and give it to our field intelligence officers so they can have a basis of what's happening or where is it happening at. But
They didn't.
They didn't take the report?
They did not file a report.
No, not the report. They didn't take the video?
They took the video and nobody saw it.
But this is what I'm saying. The detective squad and the field intelligence officers are two different entities. So if we do the detective squad is in charge of taking the criminal report and investigating that report. Whereas if we get into something that is a need to know, the field intelligence might put out a bulletin saying, hey, look out for this vehicle. It was a scene, fleeing a scene from where a person with a catalytic converter was stolen. So that's just what I'm trying to say. They probably gave it to the people, which is, it wasn't the same people that you were referring to. As far as the doing the report, we obviously has to have the complainant car, whoever car got taken from, to do the report.
Well, they had the license plate, right?
The license
and I said, can't you look it up? And the license was from Montana. The poor girls, I met them the next day.
Right.
They were from Montana. So I said, well, why don't you call Montana DMV? I can't, I'm just me. I mean, they won't give it to me. And they said, we can't do that. And I said, why? And it was some crazy excuse of, we're not allowed to call Montana. I was like, what? I mean, this is what it's like, you can't even report a crime anymore. And it's not that they need them for the report. They won't come out. I had to lie to get them to come out. I get it. If you've got somebody being murdered, somebody's catalytic converter is not number one. But
Right.
they did come out only because I lied and said, yeah, it's my car.
Okay, so here's the thing, because I don't want to go around in circles. Like, the agents that handles only 911 calls is not the local police department or precinct. So what I advise you to do, Mr. Cole, is to come to this cabinet meeting in which 911, 311, and all those agencies are present, and then we can tackle that from that standpoint. And I understand what you're going through. I've gone through myself. I've been about the same, but I can give you my phone number, put it in the chat, and then we can conversate and take it from there. Because, unfortunately, there's not a whole lot that the police department can do.
Yeah, they have to ask certain questions. I know it's frustrating, but at the same time, they need that information so that way they can direct the right people to your situation or wherever you're at. So,
But it doesn't happen in other states, and they don't need my phone number because they have it. And when an emergent crime is happening, don't waste time.
lost them.
I don't know, it muted. And I was going to say, and my birth date and other crazy questions like that. And what drug is he taking? I mean, it's like, really?
Understood.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you, Mr. Bueno.
I'd like to comment here.
No, let me kind of like, Barbara, is there something related to our questions?
Very briefly. When you use the 911 and 311 app, they don't have to ask you those questions because they already have it and they know who you are. And then you can very briefly, click, click, click and get the information in. And that's what I use when these, incidents come up, and it automatically then generates a report with a number associated with it, a file number and so forth. So I urge everyone to use the apps connected with 911 and 311. Okay.
Thank you, Barbara. Not moving along.
Eliezer, you're constantly we're not hearing you.
I have a very bad, I'm in the office. As a
That's
matter of
good
fact.
now. That's fine. That's fine.
But I have a bad connection here at the office. Maybe
Okay, I
that's-
think you have to be very close to the screen.
Okay, good. So thanks, Barbara. Thank you. Who do I have from the 33rd? Garcia? Sergeant Garcia, right? Rodriguez.
Eliezer, I was gonna ask if he could stay longer so we could ask him in terms of the budget items, what would be most helpful? Or should
Okay.
we ask now?
No, we can get around to that when we get to that agenda item, so he can
Oh,
stay.
okay, as long as he stays,
Okay.
okay?
But Lieutenant, how are you?
Hey, hi, good evening, everyone. Lieutenant
Very
Garcia.
nice meeting you.
I'm the
course.
SO. Most of you guys have met me already. I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys the 28-day numbers real quick. For the 28 days, we have murder 0 versus 1, rape 1 versus 0, robbery 24 versus 20, felony assault 13 versus 29, burglary 13 versus 5, grand larceny 16 versus 41, and grand larceny of auto 10 versus 6. I'm gonna give you guys a breakdown of those major, and we are proud to say that we are actually number 2 lowest and the lowest crime at the 77 prison in the whole city. We're doing pretty good with crime, knock on wood. We're gonna say for the robbery, we had like 8 for the 28 day, 9 were with firearm. Sorry, we got 24 for the 28 day, 9 were firearm and bar, 3 were cutting instrument, 1 was blowing object, and 2 was intimidation. Out of those, 10 were in the street, 1 was in the store, 2 was in a bodega, 4 in the park, 4 residence apartment, 1 was on a store unclassified, 1 was in transit. There was a total of 17 arrests. For felony assault, we had 13 versus 29, and out of those, it was 1 involving a firearm, 6 with a cutting instrument, 4 with blowing object, 1 with physical force, 1 with chemical spray. 2 of those were in the street, 6 were residential, 1 in a shelter, 1 in the bus terminal, 1 grocery bodega, 1 in transit, and 1 in the highway. For burglary, we had 13 versus 5. Out of those, 4 was residential, 5 were residential at night. 1 was commercial during the day, 3 were commercial during the night. For grand larceny, we had 16 versus 41. Out of those were 7 unattended property, 2 identity theft, 5 from person, and 2 from auto. For grand larceny of auto, we have 10 versus 6. Out of those, there was 3 with 4, 1 was a Honda, 1 is Toyota, 2 were running, and 8 not running. It's important that people understand that not leave their car running when they go to the bodega or street. That's actually the case. It's been happening a lot where people just leave the car running and somebody just watch them and come and takes the car and drives away with it. You ready to take any questions?
Any questions regarding the last?
Yeah, I have a question.
Oh,
You
wait a
said
minute. Oh, Barbara, hang on. Jose was first. Go
Sorry.
ahead, Jose.
The same question I had to the 34th. Animal cruelty cases?
Not for the prison. Thank you.
Thank you.
Barbara, go ahead.
You said there were, I believe, 5 burglary, whatever you said, burglaries, and that 3 or 5, the people were residential.
Well, 9 was total residential, 4 during the day and 5 during the night.
5 during the night. Were the people home?
No,
All right, so nobody was home during these. There were no home invasions. Nobody was home.
no.
Okay, because that's the scariest. Okay. Were these people, in terms of the robberies, I know in other parts of the city, people have been targeted because they have large amounts of cash in their apartment, merchants, business owners, and so forth. Has that been at all a trend, or why were these particular apartments targeted?
No, we don't have that issue right now. I mean, it's just, you know, people just break into apartments right now, but we don't have anything as a home invasion or anything about large amount of money, anything to that extent. I know what you're talking about, but no, I don't know.
Jermina?
Hi. Please disregard the noise. I'm on the bus at the moment. But I wanted to ask, does this precinct cover 155th Street and Broadway?
I'm sorry?
Does this precinct cover 155th Street and Broadway?
Yes, on one side we do.
Okay, I wanted to ask about an incident that happened on Monday evening, and there seemed to be somebody covered in white cloth. So I was just wondering if there's like a report or, you know, something to share what exactly happened that evening.
I'm sorry, what are we referring to exactly? I will need a little more information to be able to answer that question.
Well, on Monday evening, I saw there was a lot of police presence on the Broadway malls of 155th Street and Broadway. And there was somebody on the floor and on the bench covered in white cloth. And from what I understand, white cloth usually is put on somebody who is dead. So I was just wondering if there was a specific crime that occurred there Monday evening.
We don't have any homicide, that's what you're asking. And in regards to anything else on that, I will have to look into it and I'll get back to you, but not that I'm aware of.
Thank you, please, if you may.
Okay.
Okay.
So who was that person that asked?
The person that asked,
What was the name of the person?
Jermina
Okay,
Alcover.
thank you.
Do we have any other questions to Lieutenant Garcia? No, hang on, because there's gonna be one questions for the 34th, the 33rd, and the DA's office. That
I did have one more question. The weather is getting colder, and I know that at that time, then you tend to have people that are homeless hang out in the GW bus station. Is the 33rd responsible for that? And is that a problem, or is there a plan when that starts, like with outreach, or what's that situation now in the bus station?
Well, we are actually keeping track of all the homeless, and we're going around, and you know, the mayor has implemented a program where we just call and we provide services, and you know, we'll still do the same thing. We'll come and provide services, and you know, we can't force them to leave.
Yeah.
The whole process, you know? But yeah, we still do that.
What's the numbers look like? Like how many?
Well, I don't have a specific number right now, but that's something that I could definitely look into it. But as far as many homeless, and like I said, we've been going out there and we've been providing shelters and things like that to provide any assistance.
Alrighty, the DA's office, Jocelyn and Eli.
And Ellie.
Hello,
Eli
whatever.
is you.
Same Eli, me, whatever.
Good evening, everyone. I'll let Ellie go first. Ellie, if you want to speak first.
I could, but I don't want to overstep. I know we have our event tomorrow. I know you always mention domestic violence, so you want to mention it, and then whatever. It's up to you.
That's your
me.
you're
Okay,
me.
perfect. So
You're me and I'm you. Go ahead.
Perfect. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ellen West, and I am the Assistant Supervisor of Community Engagement within the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. Just introducing myself because I see some new faces here. It's always a pleasure to be here with CB12. For those of you who do not know, I actually used to work at CB12 back in the day, so it's always nice to be back here. I hope everyone knows, but October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and my office takes domestic violence very seriously, not only by prosecuting cases, but also by working very closely with the community, educating them on the process, how we prosecute domestic violence cases, if you are a survivor of domestic violence and or a victim, how to receive resources, what are the resources available to you, and what steps to take. So if anyone here on this call is interested in having a conversation on domestic violence and or a full presentation, it could be 30 minutes, could be an hour, please just let Jocelyn and I know. We also have a whole bunch of other presentations. We're not limited to just domestic violence, but we want to make a big emphasis because it is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Tomorrow, we're going to be hosting a senior safety and wellness fair, spearheaded by Jocelyn Minaya, who is the director for Washington Heights office. We're going to have resources, a shredding truck, food, music. So I hope everyone here joins us. We're right next to the CB12 office, so I do hope to see so many of you there.
Mary Anderson.
What happened?
Mary Anderson. Don't forget.
Yeah, Mary Anderson has been working very closely with Jocelyn, so I'm sure she's going to touch on all those great points later today. But the event tomorrow is going to be from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We're going to be out right outside the Washington Heights office. Jocelyn, do you want to chime in? I'm not sure if I'm missing anything else, or if you want me to discuss anything further. I'm happy to answer also any questions on behalf of the office.
Thank you, Ellie. And I'm going to let Mary, excuse me, expand on the fair because WICOA is our partner in this, and Mary's worked very hard with me. So for the new faces, my name is Jocelyn Minaya, and I'm the director of the District Attorney's Washington Heights office, like Ellie said. And, you know, she brought up the wonderful points of all the hard work that we do in the area of domestic violence. I also want to announce, today the DA announced, you know, a new unit that he has initiated, and it's the tenant housing and tenant protection unit. So we're very excited about this new unit. You know, we know, we're very cognizant of the fact that housing is an issue for a lot of us in Manhattan, and a lot of us here in Washington Heights and Inwood, you know, and across the city. We've seen how landlords take advantage of vulnerable tenants. So the creation of this unit is really in recognition of what a prevalent issue this is, and how housing instability, you know, only deepens other underlying issues that often lead to crime and to violence. So, you know, we sent out a strong message today, side by side with other elected officials, that if you're a landlord and you are being unscrupulous in your methods, we're going to come after you. So the hotline for the housing and tenant protection unit, the number is 212-335-8900. We will share the information with the community board. I'm sure they'll be putting together a flyer soon, or a brochure, and we will share with our colleagues at the community board so they can help us blast out the information. But we're very excited about this new endeavor, and you know, we're hoping to be able to continue helping our community and serving our community, especially with this issue as it pertains to housing. The other thing that I wanted to announce was another ghost gun takedown that occurred. The DA and Commissioner Sewell made the announcement yesterday, actually, the day before, I'm sorry, of a 32-count indictment against an individual who was manufacturing ghost guns, including assault weapons. If you see these pictures, it's amazing that people are actually able to do that at home now. So, you know, we were very happy to partner with NYPD to make sure, you know, that we closed this guy down. It wasn't here in Washington Heights. It was in the Lower East Side, but it's, you know, these guns could have ended up anywhere. And as you know, ghost guns are untraceable, hence the name ghost guns. So we were very happy that this individual was, in fact, apprehended, and these guns were taken off the street. So I just wanted to make sure that we shared that with you as well tonight. And then if I may, I would like to pass it over to Mary, so Mary can just jump in on the Senior Safety and Wellness Fair that we're having tomorrow, if that's okay with you, Mr. Chair. He said yes, Mary.
Where'd he go? He said yes. Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Mary Anderson. Besides wearing my hat as chair of the Committee for Concerns of the Aging on Committee Board 12, I'm also co-chair of WICOA, which is the Washington Heights Inwood Council on Aging. And as a new co-chair and being with the Aging Committee, I was more than happy to jump on board with Jocelyn when she asked WICOA to partner with her with the DA's office for this wellness and safety event for seniors. So I've been recruiting organizations, and lots of people are going to be having tables there that I know, and doing all kinds of things. So we're really excited to be there, and I will be there. I don't know how many hats I'll be wearing, but I'll be there all day. So hope to see a lot of people there. So any people in the community that you know of, reach out to them and send them our way tomorrow. It's going to be a nice day weather-wise, I'm told, according to all the reports I've heard. We're going to see the sun all day and not a bad temperature at all. So we're hoping to have it out in the street and have a great time. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
Also, like Ellie said, we'll have a shredding truck, so please encourage your neighbors or yourselves, anyone, to come on by and just shred any documents. It's a way to help prevent identity theft, especially with our seniors that oftentimes don't know to shred credit card notices or anything like that. So please come and shred everything and anything that you guys want. I just wanted to finally end really quickly. I wanted to piggyback on what Captain Sample said in terms of the wonderful arrest that NYPD made on the sexual assault pattern in the park. So, of course, we can't talk about any open cases, but I would like everyone to know that this person has been remanded, which means no bail was set. He is incarcerated at this point, and right now we're up for grand jury later this month. And I, for one, as a woman, am very happy that this man was taken off the street, and we are working closely with the victims in this case, making sure that they have the services that they need to help them, not move on, because I don't know how you move on from this, but to support them during this time and during this crisis in their lives. So I just want to give kudos to PD for making that wonderful arrest. And, hopefully we'll get this guy off the street for quite a while.
Okay, we can stay on schedule. Romina, last question.
I just wanted to ask about the details for tomorrow's event.
The details, you said the details, Jumina?
Yes.
Basically from 10 to 2, it's targeting, we partner with Waikoa, like Mary said, for our seniors, but it's an open event. It's going to be on the street, 166th Street between St. Nicholas and Audubon. The street will be closed, and we're going to have a slew of community resources, including Community Board 12, who will be there with us tabling, and it's just a way there's going to be a lot of health screenings as well. So, it's open to the public, and it's really, going to be a wonderful event, just giving out information and health screenings and just being together in community. I hope that answered your question, Jumina.
Yes, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And one last item that I want to touch on. The organization formerly known as Coordinate Project is now named or called On Point NYC. Have you gotten any complaints from any of the two precincts or you, Jocelyn, personally, as to the uptick in the numbers of needles found in the streets? And if so, is there any plans towards trying and contain anything that could possibly happen from this new center and the more people that are coming into our community, including, of course, the asylum seekers?
So I'll speak from the DA's office, specifically from us here. Ellie and I have not received an uptick on complaints about needles. I want to assume that if people are using these sites to safely inject, they're leaving the needles there once they do. I want to assume that. I'll say that again. I'm sure maybe you have a different take on whether or not people are actually seeing a lot of needles. But having said that, we get complaints from other areas, not necessarily there. Wadsworth, around the schools, where there are a lot of needles. So I know that there's been some talk. I can't say right now off the top of my head, I forget who's trying to introduce a bill to compensate people for turning in needles. In theory, it's a wonderful idea. If people are going to pick these up, or once they use them, they're going to turn them in for 10, 20 cents a piece. But I have not heard of an uptick regarding needles. Now, whether there's an uptick on quality of life complaints, Eliasar, that might be another discussion.
Captain Sample.
Yeah, so conferring with Inspector Castillo in regards to this earlier, we did do a walkthrough with Chief Obey, and just to see what we can do to try to help resolve this. I believe Congressman Espionat was trying to speak to the mayor's office and try possibly moving it from around the school area, but that's all we got on our end. We're going and talking to them. We're having our crime prevention officers go out and speak to these sites in regards to safely taking these needles and basically not have them on the streets like that, pretty much, because it's a hazard for our community. So that's where we at with that.
Lieutenant Garcia.
I'm assuming because it's not the 3-3 jurisdiction, he probably doesn't have input.
It's probably like borderline, but
I'm sorry, what? Yeah, but we don't have that issue on 3 right now.
okay. All right. Thank you all for your answers. Unless anyone else has anything else to chime on, I'm gonna ask you to stay if you want to. If not, you're free to go.
Eli, I do want to tell you that we have been in conversation with Oasis as well, and we'll probably be pulling in the chief and Inspector Castillo and hopefully Captain Sample to see if we can bring them to the table to try and address some of the concerns that PD is dealing with in terms of quality of life stuff there. So we'll keep you posted.
Okay, Lieutenant Garcia, is that your hand was raised?
Yes, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to answer Ms. Alcover answer, actually look into it. The area that she was referring to is actually happening in the 3-0 prison size. And what we have right now is there was an 8, somebody did die, and there's an investigation going on. It's on how and when.
So you're saying it falls on the 30th?
The 3-0 prison, correct.
The 3-0 prison, okay. Dermena, you heard that?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
Right. Okay, no problem. So is there anyone from the fire department that would like to give a report? I don't see anyone. So I'm gonna go then with Superintendent Miller and our neighbors at the 164 in Inchcombe.
Good evening, everyone. Today we had our grand opening ribbon cutting of the transitional housing program. I want to thank the 3-3 for the assistance and the increased traffic for today. I want to thank Manhattan DA's office for Mr. Stevenson was there, and we were able to show off the men's boutique that we established with the clothes that were donated. And one of the residents that actually was a speaker at the event today was wearing a suit that he got from the clothes that were given. Looked very sharp. So thanks, Ellie and appreciate that. We've had no issues at the facility since we've implemented the program. There's actually been no one arrested in the program. In the precinct, to my knowledge, we have parole officers come on site. We have in-reach in the facility. We've had a couple of individuals go home with family members and received a stipend. We had at the event today, the HRA commissioner was there and the administrator for DHS was there, and talking about the partnership that we're doing in diverting these individuals that are being released from prison to go into the shelter system. And it just so happens that it's a critical issue at this time with the shelter system being overwhelmed with the influx of the migrant population. So, that's been positive. So I want to thank everybody. If there's any questions.
Did you guys fix the air conditioning system? I know Ozzy would ask you that, so I'd rather take the initiative and ask him myself.
I would appreciate the support. I think that if there's, I brought it up today. Again, our commissioner was present. My superiors are located in Albany, but if they hear that feedback, because I brought it up continuously, that we're not considered a correctional facility in that area, that we're residential treatment and we're doing transitional housing, that that would be some justification to allow us to get some type of air conditioning system available to the residents. We do have air conditioning. We have a cooling lounge that they could go to, where also that we secure their electronics, and our program area got some new air conditioning as well. So we're trying to mitigate until we could get air conditioning on the housing unit. So that's a fight that I welcome the panel's support anytime. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Again, Jocelyn, Ellie, Lieutenant Garcia, Captain Samples, thank you for all the work you guys put in to making sure that we are as safe as possible. So thank you once again for your time and your contribution to our community. So we're gonna move along to, I guess, the highlight of the night, which is a presentation. Lieutenant Garcia, I think you're gonna stay on, and all of you should stay on to enjoy this presentation. It's about what is called, and I hope I get the title right, New Year's Eve in the Heights. That is presented by quite a few people that I've seen, heard of, I know of. I'm truly excited to hear what you guys are about to present. So I don't know who the first person is so that I can introduce her. Oh, Maria Curry is raising her hand. So Maria, floor is yours. Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you so much, everyone. And I apologize, first of all, for my voice. I'm actually in a business trip in Oaxaca, Mexico. So hopefully the sound is okay and you can visually see me. I totally appreciate the district manager. We've had several conversations and we truly appreciate you bringing us on board. Totally thankful to Ms. Paniagua for sending us all the links and everything we needed. And I appreciate the committee and everyone in here. And certainly we're excited, so we're hoping that you will be excited as well. We actually are putting a celebration in Washington Heights, and we're calling it New Year's in the Heights. And so what we want to do with this celebration is, more than anything else, bring something different that will have an economic boost to the community. We know that the businesses are suffering. We know that the restaurants are suffering. So we have a whole package that's called Dine, Wine, and Celebrate. And joining hands with the new hotel that is existing, where a person can have a night stay there and then enjoy a celebration, where people can go to a restaurant and have a dinner and then go to the celebration. And we have the presentation. We put in an application. A SAPO application has been submitted. And we do have several people from our team here. Manny Garcia, who handles the whole project management and the site plan that he's going to show you what those are. We also have with us, Roberta Krause, who is the attorney on the team. And she's very excited because she knows Washington Heights very well. We also have with us, I don't believe he's able to get on just yet because he's actually doing a walkthrough. He works with the Times Square Alliance, and he is our event management advisor and consultant. And what he does is he's put on the Ferris wheels, and he is the consultant that will work hand in hand with us to make sure that things are safe, that we're looking at the way that, we want to present ourselves. And we know that this is a community-minded event. that you are very important to everything that we're going to do here. I myself belong to a community board, aid in the Bronx. I know how important it is to have all of you support us and be a part of what we want to do. I don't want to take too much of your time. I am
Ms.
also
Curry, you have
Yes.
LeBron from LeBron. I'm facilitating for LeBron because his English is not too good looking. He's the not-for-profit for Ms. Curry. Ms. Curry, you have LeBron as well here on the call.
I apologize. Someone was ringing the bell at the room. Thank you. Thank you for that. That's a very important point. We have our, Mr. Lebron is actually chairs the Lebron Community Relations Association, not-for-profit 501c3. It is the organization that will work with us because everything that comes in, we want to make sure that as partners with not-for-profits in the community, we're going to have a whole expose of what these funds are and how we can give back to the not-for-profits. We heard about an organization that's doing things with domestic violence. We certainly want them to be involved. So this arm, this not-for-profit arm, will handle the distribution of these funds when these not-for-profits also come to the table. So I think most importantly is for you to see what the site plan looks like. And then as we move it along, we can go into Q&A. I think it might work best and it will be a limitation on your time. And we hope that, you know, we're sort of coming to you as a synapse, but certainly we're available anytime that, you know, Eliezer and the entire committee would like for us to come back. We thank you for that. Manny, do you have the information? Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Maria. I just want to confirm that you can see the screen with the site plan. Oh. Can you see my screen?
I can see the screen.
Yes.
Excellent. So thank you, Maria, for the introduction. My name is Manuel. This is quite a privilege for me to be here, and it's quite an honor, and I'm excited to have the opportunity to be part of this event. Myself, I'm from the neighborhood, Washington Heights. So to see something like this coming together for the community and being part of it is just very exciting. And I just want to put that out there, that this is a big deal for me personally, and I believe the rest of the team here today. So what I would like to share here right now is really just the general overall site plans of the event. And I'll be zooming in and out to make it easier to appreciate the location. And, you know, this is, for some of you that are familiar with the area, this is just the bus terminal on 178th Street, the one that's connected to George Washington Bridge. And the area that's highlighted is on Broadway from 178th Street to 174th Street, with some buffer streets to control, to just control the crowd arriving on Broadway. And, you know, this gives you a general idea of the areas that we are looking at. The event that we're planning to do, like Maria said, is really a community event. And we anticipate people to arrive and enjoy the decoration that's going to go up on Broadway that night. Enjoy the installation that we're going to have there, the lighting, take selfies, share as much as they can. So it becomes really like this community event that we are putting forward here. You know, in doing some due diligence, we had to look into, you know, some things about safety, you know, just general safety and especially for fire safety. So something that we're taking very seriously is, you know, making sure that this event turns out to be a success. And for us, a success is something that doesn't have any hiccups. We don't have any problems that night. So we want to keep it as safe as possible. And what you see here on the right is just basically the fire lane that's being dedicated for any emergency. And that's something that we already review with the fire department, and they're on board with this general direction and general understanding of what's in scope. What you see in blue here is the stage area north of 177th Street and down here south of 175th Street. So we are planning to do 2 stages as anchoring points to have some kind of celebratory event on the stage. The details of that are still being considered, but we're thinking we want to display something that is engaging for the community and something that they can find educational and also entertaining for that night. We are very much aware that there are some existing conditions that we need to be mindful, especially for safety reasons. Some of these temporary structures, we want to stay clear of them, or we want to talk to the restaurants that own them to figure out a way to take care of them for that night. So this is something that we have in mind, and we want to just keep track of those structures that are temporary. Potentially, they could affect a fire truck or an ambulance kind of trying to get by. So these are the reasons why we highlighted those things, just for safety reasons. Going down to a more, I guess, colorful diagram, we're just trying to highlight here the different things that we want to make sure that we control, or the things that we want to highlight as the envelope for the event. And what you see in blue are those streets that are functioning as buffer space. So there will be no car that night on those streets, and people will go and just be able to walk there and enjoy the decoration that we plan to have in those streets. The idea is to really engage with the community, and potentially each one of these streets can have their own decoration, or we can do a competition for them to see which of the streets can come up with the best decoration for their own street. So it's something that is meant to be an engagement party, again, for the community to bring it to life that night and to actually help create some revenue for the restaurants and establishments that are in the area. Like Maria mentioned, the red area is the area of the event. Like I said, the blue is the buffer, and these green areas here are the 2 stages that we are currently considering. On the right here, you have the green area highlighted as the pedestrian path, and those we are planning to keep clean as well. There are more details to the event that we're happy to go into more detail, but right now, this is just an overview of what the site is looking like at the moment. So you see a satellite image of what that is, maybe a little more clear to see the satellite image. But again, that yellow area, identify where the pedestrian starts. There will be no cars allowed past the yellow part, the yellow mark. And the red area is the one that's going to be directly engaged with the actual event. Maria, I'm not sure if you would like me to go into more detail in any of these areas, but this is, I hope, can provide everyone here some kind of understanding of, what it is that this event is going to be looking like that night.
No, I think that's good. I think that maybe we can also hear from Roberta, who's also here, just to say hello. Manny is an architect, and he is tremendously, has worked in many events that we know have been very successful. As I mentioned, Junior Santiago is a top-notch management company who works with the Times Square Alliance, works with the Ferris wheel and everything that you can think of that goes on also in the United Palace. We also have Sharon, who is one of the top individuals that works with permits. So we have been very diligent to look at this in a way that will be very helpful to the community And we know that our heart is in it. We've worked very, very hard, have had very casual conversations with several not-for-profits, with the bids, with the chambers of commerce, the businesses in the community. We've walked the streets with the businesses. We've done some interesting statistical information and data gathering that we believe can be very useful to these businesses as we move it forward. This is not a celebration that will come and will end at 12 midnight. The work begins to be able to assist and to help and to grow the community. We're putting an event together that is not just an event. I certainly know a little bit about this. I was the reconstituted National Dominican Day Parade in 2015, and I was called upon to serve where they wanted it to be a 501c3 that was totally vested with our culture and what we do for our community. And if you talk to the NYPD, FDNY, sanitation, and those that have worked with us for the past 7 years, not only have we met our benchmark to overgrow our scholarship fund close to $1 million, and I'd love to pitch November 11, you're all invited to the scholarship event that will be hosted at Fordham University. But our heart is in the community and what we do for the community, and we're vested in the mission. So maybe Roberta can say hello to everyone. Aurelia can say hello to everyone as well. And then we'll just open it up to some questions. You have some other beautiful graphics and maybe looks like what the lighting would look like, maybe some really quick things about that. But let's open it up, just have Roberta say hello and then Aurelia as well.
Hi, everyone. My name is Roberta Kraus. I am an attorney. I'm doing the bulk of the legal work on this project. I'm super excited to be a part of it. I live very close to Washington Heights, just north in Riverdale. I am Jewish, and I would love to find a way to unite the Washington Heights community, not just the Hispanic community, but the Jews as well. And I'm going to reach out to local organizations and see how we can bring everyone together to celebrate New Year's Eve in a safe, collaborative way that I think will reinvigorate the neighborhood.
Thank you very much, Roberta. Aurelia, would you like to say good evening?
Before I do, Lebron would like to chime in. He's our partner in this event from Lebron Restaurant Supply, but his not-for-profit, Lebron Community Services, is our partner helping us, and he's going to supply a lot of the items as well to make sure that this event is a success. Lebron, ¿usted quiere decirle algo al Community Board con respecto a este evento? I'll translate, guys.
Me avisa cuando puedo.
Sí, por favor, Lebron.
Nada, buenas noches a todos. Para mí, y creo que para ustedes también, es una gran oportunidad de que un grupo tenemos el valor de apoyar ese evento y llevarle alegría en una fecha tan importante para la comunidad y para mucha gente que no han podido bajar hasta en escuela a esperar el año nuevo por los espacios que quizá el tiempo no le ha sido posible.
Lebron, déjame traducir.
Déjame traducir. Un granito de arena a cada uno para que esa comunidad nuestra pueda disfrutar de un evento de esa magnitud. Y le pediríamos a ustedes como Community Board que hagan una evaluación de quiénes estamos apoyando ese evento, por qué queremos apoyarlo, porque la comunidad se lo merece.
Gracias, Lebron. So I'm going to, in 2 sentences or less, he says he wants us all to support this event because we're all involved in the event, he said, and to look at all of the organizations that are going to be supporting this event, not-for-profits and whatnot. But what he's saying is that it takes courage to bring an event, to bring people together and to try to help bring a community together during these times. So, and then As far as, gracias, Lebron. As far as my comments, I'm more logistical in terms of helping with this event and the Lebron Restaurant Supply and all of the organizations involved in. There's a community component here. It's very important to me because Washington Heights has changed drastically since COVID. And we want, this is an economic generator, a moment that, you know, travel and tourism is not coming up past 96th Street, guys. You know, we're not getting the benefits because travel and tourism is affected by what the images that are being projected about this community and our community, which I love. I think this is a great opportunity to bring people together, create an economic driver of hope, and show the world, because this is a world event, it's the first of its kind, that we can come together as a community and create some sort of revenue generator to those struggling businesses, because as they struggle, crime increases, we're not getting what we need, and we're not getting the resources because, you know, it's cyclical, less tourism, less travel, less people coming uptown. We want to change that. We want to show our United Palace. We want to show the cloisters. We want to talk about Sherman Creek, the restaurants. There's a wine and dine.
Thank you, Aurelia.
You know.
Thank you, Aurelia. I'd like to open it up to questions and answer as we have Manny maybe put together a very festive
now open up the floor for the next 10 minutes, and I'm gonna go by the row of hands. Start with Ozzy, Lieutenant Garcia, Barbara Frazier, and Jermina. No more than 2 questions, guys, at a time.
Okay.
Give each other a chance to ask questions.
This conversation is really belong to the Parks and Cultural Affairs Committee. I understand that we may need to discuss some security issues or safety issues in this committee, but everything else is belong to the Parks and Cultural Affairs Committee. Did you guys present to that committee already?
Let me answer that. Not necessarily when you have a public safety issue. It's not a park, it's a plaza. And most, especially with street events, are mostly considered and presented in front of the Public Safety Committee. But if you have a question related to the event itself, I'm more than happy to hear you.
But that's what I said in my opening when I said I understand that we need to discuss the safety and concerns, but I asked if they went to present to the.
Now, this is the first presentation.
Okay.
Are
you planning on doing that? Maybe we can let them answer. Are you planning on going to the Parks and Cultural Affairs Committee? We can't hear you.
I'm sorry. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Ozzy. Pleasure to speak with you. We are here for the community. We are guided by the district manager and anyone in the community, members and the board and the community that wants us to make a presentation. We're available.
Tenant?
Yeah, everyone. I'm sorry, but I understand that there was an application submitted, and the way it works, the commanding officer, Captain Natali, reviews it. Unfortunately, he determined that it was going to be denied because we do not have the resources to cover such an event. We don't have the police manpower, and we don't have the resources that's necessary for that. Obviously, this could be appealed, and it will be appealed to our overhead command. In this case, it will be the Borough of Manhattan North. But as of our labor, our commanding officer decided that it was going to be denied.
Thank you, Lieutenant, for that comment. We are having conversations. We believe that if we continue to do what's being done in our communities, we continue to have the same results. So we do understand that there is another big festivity happening in another community of our city. We do know the economic engine and the monies that come into that community because of that. We think, you know, we are deserving in our community as well to have resources that will also boost the community. So we're having conversations. And that's why we have certain experts looking at, you know, what the NYPD and FDNY and sanitation can do for us. And we're vested also in bringing in additional resources that we're looking for partners that can pay for. So we want to be a helping hand to assure ourselves that, you know, this goes on well for everyone involved. Thank you for those comments.
Barbara, will you have anything to reply to Lieutenant, or no? Barbara, unmute yourself.
Barbara is muted.
Barbara, you have to unmute yourself.
Number one, the traffic on the bridge. This is right by New York Presbyterian's emergency. And on New Year's Eve, there are a lot of emergency visits to both New York Presbyterian and also cutting across to the Bronx, St. Barnabas. And I can't imagine having any large grouping of people impeding traffic in the area of George Washington Bridge. What's your plan? That's my first question.
Right. So Manny, you explain, because there isn't really any traffic that's going to be impeded on that crossway.
Right. There won't be any traffic. So the traffic that you're referring to normally, and I know this because I live in the area, and unfortunately I had to listen to the sirens. They normally travel on Fort Washington in terms of ambulances getting to 168th Street. And there is a sign right on this corner here that does direct traffic that passes the Fort Washington mark to turn right on Broadway. So the sign is right on this corner. So very, very much aware of these things, and we're keeping a very close eye on them. And the idea is that for that night, we will have a very clear plan on dealing with all those different scenarios. We're starting to
What is your
right now,
plan?
and we're confident that we can achieve
For coming off the bridge, but from Dyckman Street, they come down Broadway all the time.
Okay.
From coming over the 181st Street Bridge, they come down Broadway all the time, or that area there. And there will certainly be spillover pedestrians, people milling around in the streets if there's a big crowd, and so forth, so that whole area, not just your red strip, but your whole area over to Audubon, Amsterdam, and so forth, will be an area of both car and pedestrian congestion.
Hi, Barbara. It's Aurelia. How are you? Nice to see you again.
I'm doing okay. Getting over a cold. Doing okay.
That's not good. The cold is bad. But just so you know, as you know, where I worked for Adriano many years ago, and the routes for the hospital are probably our biggest issues. We're working with FDNY and an FDNY former retired FDNY and some NYPD consultants, and we're going to have a concrete plan to present to you. But it looks, as you can see, these roadways are going to be clear horizontally. And Fort Washington, they're going to keep these areas, try to keep these areas and these lanes people free. So we have about 7 entryways that will not have cars or traffic or people. So if we can give you a more detailed plan once we get the final plan from FDNY and to address that issue for you, if that's okay with you.
You'll need 3 or 4 police officers per block to do that.
We're going to have additional, we're willing to have additional security and officers to help that night, because we understand it's kind of cyclical, right? We have no resources for the officers because we don't get any resources. So this is a plan to bring resources. So a lot of the issues that we're facing as a community are going to be addressed with some of the resources brought into the community. So I think we want to work to make sure that this never happens, that we don't have resources for the crime and the things that are happening. So we're going to bring in that kind of funding.
Ms. Frazier, thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Frazier. We will bring the consultants on board, a more elaborate plan for you. We have had these conversations from the beginning that we dreamed about having the celebration. So We appreciate your comments. We're well aware of them, and we will have a plan for you. Thank you.
Okay, but there isn't one yet. Okay, my second comment is this question.
There is one that's still in the works, Ms. Frazier.
When the celebration happens at 42nd Street, people are put into little corrals. They have to start lining up there at noon. I believe it's about 12 people per corral, and they cannot leave that corral. I mean, people piss into pop bottles and stuff like that. Food and so forth cannot enter. So essentially they're, for wanting to be there when the ball falls, they have to stand for 12 hours. So is that the setup you imagine here? As I see, you seem to think people can kind of walk around.
I know, Ms. Frazier. In fact, we do know that, and they call them cages. We don't like to call them cages. I like your word, corrals. It's terrific. What we envision is a real collaboration and communication with community people that would love to go to the restaurant, 7 o'clock, have a dinner, and then these corrals that you call, they will be able to come into the corral because we want to be able to sort of manage the crowd. And we're not going to have the crowd, obviously, that happens in the other community. We are requesting possibly corrals that would maximize at about 1,000 people. And so we have already established the plan, again, that will be hand in hand with the plan that you want to see. And we're working on that to present it to you.
You're saying you'd have 1,000 people in one corral?
No, ma'am. I said we have several corrals that will be managed so that people can go into these corrals.
How many per corral?
What is it that we have there? That we have, Manny? How many corrals? The cages, they call them cages.
So I'll because we can just basically go over here. The blue area here is the first cage, the first line of control.
Don't say cage, correct. CARRELL is actually the right word. I don't like cage.
That's the first line of the outer ring of security, and this is the inner ring of security. And within these blue lines is where the crowd control will happen. Once you go into the red line, it should be a smooth experience, and we won't allow more than the people that we anticipate or plan for, because these blue lines will serve to control that crowd.
So they're kind of like a security entrance or something? So that's sort of like the blue lines, you enter through those streets and it's like a security entrance. And then you have free movement through the pink area.
Yes.
Whoa, baby. Whoa.
Okay.
I love the free movement because you see them, there's police officers on every pink, there's security on every pink stop. So it's a highly supervised event.
Eliezer, do you want me to move along the other questions or you?
You're muted.
My apologies. Dorena, if you want to ask a question, and then we'll go to Mary.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So I just wanted to say that I think this is a pretty different proposal. I never heard or expected something like this to come to the neighborhood, but I'm really curious about parking, and I think it's not the smartest idea to take away parking during New Year's in our neighborhood, because that's the one thing I think everyone can agree on, drivers or non-drivers, that parking is a challenge, especially during holidays, because we have people coming out of town. So I just wanted to know, how much consideration have your committee put into parking and transportation in this really tight area? That'll be my first question on transportation. And second, what pretty much is your vision for this? Like, are you want to have performances? Like, are you want to bring Times Square to the heights? That's pretty much what I'm getting out of this, but I can't really envision that because let's say 4th of July, for example, with the fireworks, that's already a challenge with our presence and the community. So are you thinking like fireworks, special guest appearances? Is it a cultural thing? Because to me, this could be minimized and just done right here at Quisqueya Plaza and then call it a day, rather than, taking up certain streets and, preventing certain traffic. So I was just trying to get a better vision of how you expect this or would want for this to go, like your vision.
Thank you, Yumina. Yes, absolutely. Everything that you've expressed are information that's on the table. We know that for a certain amount of hours, the community gets impacted. But based on the conversation we had with you and the reality of bringing in resources to the community, they will also bring in the community and what we do with them. I mean, we're envisioning, and we already have several homes that are willing to do sort of like a live celebration, bringing in the family and showing how they're counting down to the New Year's. And yes, we do have performances that will happen, and there's no fireworks. I mean, technology today allows us to decorate, to put some beautiful things that do not impact, what you can really put out there in terms of paper and signage and everything else. And so we're lucky that we do have the right team that can do that. And maybe we can show you a little bit of that. But, these things slowly but surely get acclimated with the right positive thought in a community. And we know that new things are a challenge when they begin. And we know that, we pray that together we can make things really positive for everyone. But we have to have an open mind. We have to be able to understand that it takes partnerships. It takes collaboration. It takes looking at a glass more full than empty. And then thinking, what else can I bring to the table that could be very positive for this? So I really admire and thank you for thinking about the things that we are discussing. And we're well aware of the impact that something new and creative will happen in the community.
I'd also like to
wait 1 second. Aurelia, hang on a second.
Yeah.
Because I have on 8:30 to spend on this subject. So I'm going to have Mary to give Mary, go right ahead, and then Barbara, one more question, and then we can further discuss later on. Mary, unmute yourself. There you go. Unmute yourself, Mary. There you go.
Oh,
you're
okay.
good. All right.
My concern is, and I live right in the area we're talking about. Okay. My concern is noise pollution and the aging population, the seniors. There are lots of us in this community, lots and lots and lots of us. I'm probably one of the younger of the majority of seniors in this community, but I'm concerned about how you're going to convince them that this is going to be a fun time when it's going to really invade their ability to, to function at a reasonable level during those hours that this is planned for. And I hope that, you've got that really in, the depths of your mind to deal with.
Thank you so much, Mary. Yes, we know that there is a nice community of seniors. I'm a senior myself, so I can certainly understand what you're saying. And we do have those discussions. And we hope to have a communication with you, certainly, how we can make sure that we understand what would be best for the senior community.
And also, I was going to address the quality of life issues. That's huge for me. This is a hard close at midnight. When the ball drops, the crowds are to disperse, just so you know. There's no partying like all night. There's none of that. The traffic, those removal of the cars on the streets, there's going to be some areas allocated for that maybe later, but we'll give you more details. And sanitation, once the hard close starts, sanitation starts cleaning up the streets and bringing them and restoring the order back to the area. So it does end at midnight like the rest of the city.
Aurelia, I want to make
just so you
sure
know.
I'm respectful to the committee's time, and
Yeah, sorry about that.
Eliezer has a real hard cut at 8:30.
I just have
And
to-
this was our first rodeo to the table, everyone. And
Yeah. One last
Yes.
shot at it, Barbara, and then we'll call it a night, because this is what it seems to be, an ambitious plan that has many, many layers, from parks, rotation, and different committees who may want to have a weight and a say.
Absolutely.
So Maria, you've been in board, so you understand exactly what I'm talking about.
absolutely, I know very well.
Yeah, Barbara, so.
Yeah, I have another continued question, because I'm very concerned about having this large open area. I mean, if you remember, several years ago at City College, they were having inside though at the Davis, similar event, and one bad incident within this large open single event began a stampede in which at least three or four co-eds or college students were killed. And if you in this large open area, as I see it, there go one unfortunate event, like one knife, it would cause a stampede. And I find it very hard to believe that security guards that would be checking people as they would enter through these blue streets, 177, 176, and so forth, are going to be able to have the same sophistication and so forth as, for example, the TSA. I mean, one knife that's concealed in the bottom of a boot, one whatever, is going to make it through. And especially when there's a grudge or whatever. I can't believe that in this kind of open-ended area, there would be sufficient security. I hear too much, oh, the community this, and we're going to try something new and bring a different image. But the devil is in the details. And
Yes.
I'm really not hearing enough on that. I also
Thank you,
wanted
Barbara.
to echo,
Barbara,
excuse
this
me, you're
is our
interrupting.
first.
You're interrupting. Also, I wanted to concur with my colleague and Mary Anderson that this is unlike 42nd Street, which is a really 90%, 99% commercial area. This is primarily a residential area and a hospital area. And therefore, it's a completely different dynamic of how it will affect the people living there. And generally, when the precincts give out on New Year's Eve 24-hour permits, it's generally only selecting per precinct 4 or 5 establishments that are extremely well soundproof, have had extremely good reputations all year long. The precincts are very familiar with the establishments. They know their security protocols. They know their security guards. They know the managers, the maturity and the abilities of the managers. And those are it. Just 4 or 5 establishments usually per precinct. So and they are inside. Okay. So this large street operation, I really feel is far, far beyond the resources of our community.
Okay. I'm going to have closing comments from the presentation committee.
Okay.
There are no all-night permits this year. New Year's Eve falls on a Saturday night. There will be, the liquor authority will not be giving any all-night permits because of the blue laws. So just so you know, restaurants will have to close at restaurant times.
Barbara, thank you very much. We came to the table. It's very, it's a summary, and we certainly appreciate your comments. I don't know if Manny has a view, but we can end it by thanking the committee and for having us here. We certainly appreciate your input.
Thank you very much.
Totally. Well, there were a couple of points about parking that we are considering, and the community engagement we hope would damper the effect that we're going to have on the community by engaging with them ahead of time and talking to all the senior people that we can ahead of the event. That's definitely something that we're going to go door to door in each one of those buildings to make sure that we understand what we're doing, and we're doing sound mapping to, with technology, understand where the sound is having the highest impact in which building, in which corners. So we're definitely taking all those things in consideration. Thank you for the feedback on that. Maria, I'm happy to share one view of the event itself, and it will show kind of what it will look like in terms of the people there. So just 1 second.
Hey, beautiful. Thank you for
Okay.
allowing us to chime in and talk about our preoccupations and concerns.
So this is a quick review.
Oh, I thought you.
I think we're done.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Elias.
Hey guys, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Everyone.
Thank you. Good night. Thank you for listening, guys. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Thank you, Roberta, the quiet one. You have a good night. So, guys, it's 8:35, 8:36. We're gonna talk about the budget review request for 2024. I'm gonna give you a brief history how it works, and then you guys, I'm sure there's some experienced folks here that have dealt with it in the past. Basically, what the budget review is an opportunity that community boards throughout the city have in order to say and express and point what are the priorities of just about every committee in our community board, from parks to public safety, youth, aging, and all of them. This is an exercise in which we as board members individually can give priorities based on our needs and what we think are our needs. And then we put it into a big pool, and then the numbers are chosen from there. And then the priorities are selected based on the numbers, the prioritizing of the numbers and the needs from the community that we choose individually, as I said in the beginning. Now, let me just give you a difference between the two types of budget priorities, right? You have the capital budget and the expense budgets. Does anyone here know the difference between the two? Capital budgets.
I do. I know the difference.
But you know more than I do.
Oh, okay, I'll explain.
No, go right
Okay.
ahead. Yeah, explain.
All right. Capital budget, think of it as permanent things, okay?
Right.
For example, bricks and mortar. A capital item is something that is enduring. Maybe OC can correct me on this. I believe it's something that costs more than $10,000. I may be wrong on
25,000.
I think it's 35.
Okay, all right. So it's something, for example, buying a new police squad car would be an example, okay? Of getting more patrol cars. An expense item is something that is more consumable. For example, increasing arts after school program would be a that kind of item. Or increasing the number of patrol officers on weekends or something like that would be a operational expense as opposed to a capital expense. That's the basic difference.
So capital need to be a something, a physical thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just to simplify the difference.
Yeah. And an operational thing, an operation is an expense item is something that happens more or less.
So
Or funding a program. If we want to fund a a youth program after school that connects, that teaches public safety, or increase funding for a domestic violence program. Something like that would be an expense item.
So I'll give you an example of what our priorities were last year from this committee's standpoint. Like the number one capital budget that we ranked was the additional upgrade of emergency response systems 311 and 911 to recorded times and geolocations for better response, data, and transparency. The number 2 item was procurement of additional noise decibel readers for Community Board 12 Manhattan. Back then, we had a big issue about, remember, Barbara, in Conosi, it was about the clubs and the noise from the clubs and restaurants, and the noise, how the noise was so loud that we wanted the police department to have additional noise level readers. The light tower within the 33rd precinct, I think that was done. And procurement of cameras for NYPD, 33rd precinct, and the 34th. That was our priorities for the budget of 2023. Another thing is that budgets, the city of New York budgets of work 2 years ahead. Like this budget review is for the 2024.
Okay.
So it's 2 years out. So we get the difference between capital budget and expense budgets. Okay, so
what were our expense items last year?
Expense items last year, we had expand domestic violence and anti-sexual harassment programs and improve multi-agency response.
The example I gave.
Exactly. Expand implicit bias, mental health, substance abuse training programs, and multi-agency response. Mental health clinical profession staff to the NYPD, expand public education programs on public safety issues, fireworks, driving, bike noise, etc. Increase funding to support the fire department of New York in addressing and correcting violations, and enhance fire prevention in housing, in nightlife, restaurant, and establishments. Add speed cameras in the 33rd and the 34th precinct in areas that there's drag tracing, or death.
Okay.
I think they did take care of a bunch of them, considering what happened in 190th in Amsterdam. You know, the speed bumps, the additional speed cameras in both precincts. So I think they listened to us.
And I believe that's under discussion for like Sherman Avenue.
Right.
Not sure.
Yes,
sure.
please, because I hear them a block away. Last night they were going at it. That's where I grew up. I grew up on Sherman and Sickles, and I live a block away from Sherman.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, if this is not a new item, there should be a CS as continuing support with a number attached to it. And I don't see that number. All I see is new. What am I missing?
No,
about the cameras, LSR.
I'm actually reading off last year's capital and budget expenses. This year's, of course.
That again in our emails, Eliezer? Should we be?
Yeah, that was emailed. That was emailed out about a week ago.
Okay, let me look.
Should have copies of.
I'm sorry, I'm a little behind because of the cold. I'm sorry.
That's okay. We can resend it. That shouldn't be a problem.
No. I'm sure I have it here. I just didn't do right. That's all.
And again, we just gotta regrade them.
Okay, do any of them of the ones that you read, Eliezer, from capital and from expense, do any of them have CS next to them?
No, they don't. Well, hang on.
Or hold it up. So hold it up in the screen so I can see it. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, that's
PSS.
Huh?
No. I mean, I could share my screen if that's helpful.
Please share your screen.
Can you?
Okay, yeah, please share your screen.
Should have had.
Yeah, Jameen is co-host now. Oh, great, fantastic. Okay, All right, so now go down to public safety. Okay, all right. So that shows the board, our procurement of an all-terrain vehicle came in at 48. So I can tell you that that's not going to probably make it, and it doesn't have that. Okay, now where, go back up on public safety a little bit, Jamina, because you're okay, all right. So there, the additional upgrade has, if you make it to the left a little bit, can you move to the right a little bit? See where it says PS and it has a number next to it? That means that it got picked up. Okay, it got picked up and it's going to be funded. And then also the one, the 3122019332C, the procurement of additional decibel meters, that got done. All right, now the new don't have anything next to it. So OC, that means that they didn't get funded, right?
Right.
So we have to look at
No,
that.
that maybe, I don't know why is it new? Because new meaning it wasn't yet.
But again, Jose, sorry to cut you off. That's last year's. We haven't done this year, so that new doesn't mean anything.
Okay.
Actually,
Jamina, could you go under Parks and Cultural Affairs? Look at go down a little bit so I can look at, go up so I can look at Dykeman Rest. Stop. Hold on. Dykeman Rest, new playground.
Right here.
It says continuing support. So it did get funded. You see, OC?
Right.
Over on the far right where it says continuing funding, it got, even though it says new, the CS means it got funded.
Right.
You see that?
I understand that. So in this case, what they're asking is continuing support.
Right.
But all the items we have, other than 2 capital expenses.
Okay, Jamina, go back up to public safety.
Yeah, go down.
Yeah, go down to public safety again. Okay. Yeah. All right, your point, OC, what?
That, do you see the first 2 items already have a number?
So they're taken care of.
Well, they got a number. We don't know if they're gonna take care of or not.
Well, we know what the city said last year, because we got this also in the mail, the response from the city.
Right.
Oh, what does it say?
For number 1, under where it says board, that first item is number 1 ranked by the board.
Yeah,
and here
upgrade,
on this form, on this page, what it says as a response to that, it says further study by the agency of this request is needed. And the responsible agency is the fire department.
What are you looking at, the register?
I'm looking at, yeah.
Yeah, this right here,
register, right?
The register.
Yeah, and that's where we get our answers, whether they're working on it or not.
You can also have a copy of the register.
Okay, so they are working on it. Okay.
No, well, we don't know. It says further study by the agency of this request is needed, which is the fire department. Well, we don't know if the fire department is working on it. That's something we have to find out.
Okay.
Like on the capital request for the fire department, when it says adopted budget response, it says further study by the agency of this request is needed. So you have a bunch of different answers to a lot of these requests on the register that you guys should take a look at.
So Mary, would we continue to rank it, or do we just keep it where it is because it already has a number?
It depends, like Mary said, on what the answer is. You know, what would you want to say, right, no, or CS, if it's already been taken care of or not?
I mean, when going, from my committee, I would think that because we don't know if the fire department is doing this, that we should leave it with a number, not as a CS.
Exactly.
Because we don't know if they're working on it or not. So.
Yeah, Mary, I don't think we can give CS. Only the city can give CS.
No, that's not true.
Okay, all right.
That's a committee decision.
Exactly.
Oh, it is.
CS. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yes.
Well, actually, and you're totally right about that, because we can't say continuing support until it has an OMB thing where we know it's funded. Okay. All right, what about additional noise decibel meters? What does the book say?
Says this project was funded in a prior fiscal year and the scope is now underway. That we might want to consider CS.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right.
That's, I mean, I'm not on the committee, so, you know, I'm just.
No, but it's
chiming
very
in.
helpful. Yeah, I would give that a CS then, because it says it's funded and it's in process, right?
Yeah, so we have about 5 minutes before I get kicked out of here.
All right, but so therefore, but I do think the light tower, the 33rd wants, the Argus cameras. Now, I think we should ask the and the all-terrain vehicle, because again, responding to these and add funding for cameras in parks. That was something I wanted to bring up. If maybe some of these the exact camera can be discussed. I had considered talking to them about the cameras that are used with endangered species, where they're put in remote areas. There's been a lot of technological advancement, and that's where they catch, you know, Siberian tigers and elephants and such. Only when something activates, it walks by, and then it sends the picture to the station, right? Those sort of cameras could be very helpful, possibly in Fort Tryon and Inwood Hill, and be placed in, you know, remote areas. But again, it would be a city decision what kind of cameras would be best. But we do need more with the increase of bike travel, the increase of hiking, the greater use of the sailing areas. I think it's very important that we have more cameras in the parks. And I think people need an increased sense of safety. Any other comments?
I agree with you, and I am going.
Now, I think we should ask the lieutenants what they think, what the discussion has been at the precincts of what their needs are. I think that the shot spotters are very important. I'm interested in any form of capital equipment, which in a non-violent, hopefully, shall I say, I don't want to say hands off, but non-violent, non-interactive way can reduce violent crime and help in the investigation of crime should be enhanced. So we should ask them. Are they there?
I think they're all left.
For which
They
one,
left.
Barbara? For which one?
Well, what I'm saying is, and this is where I'm not an expert, but for example, there are certain things that the NYPD has implemented. For example, what's it called? A shot spot, I believe, where they have places set up around the neighborhood so that when a bullet is fired, it's located. So that gets them to a place where there's been shots fired very quickly, even if no one calls it in, even if no one else has heard it. And that has really helped catch violent crime. I don't know, they have to tell us if they would want more locations for that. Speed cameras has also been an issue. Do they want more? Would more speed cameras be helpful? I don't know. And how does the committee feel about speed cameras?
I think that we can actually make a determination about what we feel is the best thing for our community.
Okay.
And so in my view, speed cameras are very important. And I think considering, you know, we had some death related issues. So let's, I feel that should be like one of the first ones as we rank it as a committee. I think it should move from number, what is it now? 1, 2, 3, number 6 to number 2, maybe.
Guys have 2 more minutes.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
We have 2 more minutes.
Well, but we have to rank them, otherwise they stay the way they are. Does everyone else in the committee feels that should stay where it is right now?
I'll move up I agree with you on making it number 2, and I would love to have the parking as number one because of what's been transpiring. Even if it's the summertime and not a lot of people will be using the parks, but
Okay.
I'd like to rank it up there between the first three.
Okay.
But I agree with you on the camera, the speed cameras.
Okay. So what do you want to put first?
First cameras and then first speed cameras and second parks.
The all-terrain vehicle and cameras in parks.
Exactly.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Jurbina, you okay with it?
Yes, I agree. I support.
And then leave the others as they are, but change additional noise decibel meters to continuing support.
Hang on, Luana and Rabbi Yosef.
I'm okay with it. Thank you.
Luana?
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. I'm looking at the same document, yes, where there's only like, what is it, a handful of rows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's the thing. I have to leave the office because the guard is only gonna be here for 5 more minutes. So Barbara, is there any way that you can continue to?
Sure. As long as
rest of
that's
it?
up on the, as long as it's up on the thing, I'll continue it, sure. But they have
and
to
then-
have then they have to move to the expense items.
Yeah, and then I'll join from my cell phone, but I have to leave the
Okay,
office.
yeah, okay, no problem. Okay. So do you have it recorded? We want to put speed
Yeah,
cameras
yeah.
number one. Additional procurement of all-terrain vehicles and cameras in the parks is number 2. And then we're going to just move the others down. Emergency response system 3, noise decibel meters number 4 with that continuing support, light tower number 5, Argus cameras number 6. Everybody okay with that? All right, let's take a vote. Ebenezer, Eliezer, don't leave till vote. All in favor of that? Say, oh, actually, motion to accept that as our ranking. Oh, actually, we don't vote on that. Everybody votes individually, actually. But we could do it as a group vote, I guess, and do it easy. Want to do it that way?
Well, we have to.
The committee needs to
agree-
have it ranked.
Exactly. The committee
Right.
has to agree to this, and then individually, when we rank at the end of the month, then you can do whatever you want.
Okay.
Next
All
week.
right. All right. Does the committee agree to that?
Yes, I mean, yes, I do.
Okay. All right. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Does anyone disagree? Okay, accepted. All right, now Jamira, could you please put up the expense items?
Okay, give me 1 second.
Sure.
Sorry, I thought that what I read to you is, what I was mentioning is from the expense.
An all-terrain
No.
vehicle is not an expense item. That's expensive. A light tower is expensive. It's capital.
No, I get it, but from whatever reason, I thought I read it from, let me recheck.
Okay. That's good.
Well, the add speed cameras is under the expense.
Well, if you get 5 or 6 of them, that gets it up there. Okay, public safety. Those are items 32 to 37. Take a minute to read them, and then also add if there are anything that you would like to add, something new. Okay, so let's take 1 minute to read them and then see 32 to 37. And actually, if you'd like to add anything new or rework any of them.
And those are the expense items.
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah. Mhm.
32 to 37.
Was the speed cameras, did that already happen? I think that, right?
Yeah, it already happened. I don't see anything on the capital budget under our committee. Oh, no, I see it somewhere there. Never mind. It's kind of highlighted in a weird way.
We made it number 1 in our committee for capital.
I'm just saying, does it still need to be here?
Well, I guess in 37, I don't think so. I don't think so.
I got a ticket already.
I did too. I got one about a year ago up in the Bronx by St. Margaret of Crotona up
Yeah,
in
so,
Riverdale.
okay, just questioning whether he even needs to be here anymore. I mean, the city seems to have put the funding in already.
Well, no, it's the speed cameras, the number of speed cameras are determined by the state legislature. I believe, correct me, OC, that we're allowed to have 200 in the city. So the issue is whether they will raise the cap on that. Before, the speed cameras could only work from, oh God, not from
7 to 5 during the school time.
We know. We don't have to go through. It's interesting also to note that we ranked that as number 6, yet the board had it as 16 overall. It's just interesting.
Well, what really rocks it, are you new to the board?
No, I'm not new to the board. I'm just noting. I'm not even commenting. More than just noting what's there. But we should move on. We don't have to. I don't have to give commentary.
Yeah, but could you put yourself on video so we know who you are and see your picture?
You can. I'm just not exactly in a place where I can do that right now.
All right, because that's why I'm not sure who I'm talking to. Okay.
He's my co-chair, Barbara.
Barbara, we know each other, Barbara.
Oh, it's from Rabbi.
Yes. I could do it probably for a few seconds, but I'm not in a great place right now.
Oh, okay. Now
hi,
I know.
Barbara.
Okay. Hi. Okay. It's a little hard.
I can tell you you want me to tell you the agency response from last year? It says, please contact the Borough Commissioner's Office for traffic calming device requests. So comes under the Department of Transportation, but they want the committee to, or the board to contact the Borough Commissioner's Office.
All right.
So
I think number 35.
I'm saying leave that numbered. I would, what? Leave that one numbered. The speed cameras.
Okay. The number 35, expand public education programs.
Yeah, but it's actually you're looking at that, but I'm looking at what the board number is because that's what this the responses are under those numbers.
For 16. Okay, look at the board number. Okay. So number 16, they said contact the DOT. Okay,
right.
Number 39.
Let me get to it. Sorry, I'm working with one hand these days because I had surgery on my elbow. So, okay, 39. Hold on. Oh, okay. It says OMB supports the agency's position as follows. The crime prevention section currently has a personal safety lecture series, which includes preventing sexual assault. Members of the crime prevention section, as well as crime prevention officers at each of the local precincts. PSAs are available to lecture community groups. So
yeah, that's what I'm thinking is that the crime prevention officers go in the schools all the time. And they also talk about noise, driving, public safety issues. So I think 39 is kind of unnecessary.
I was going to say, since they're doing that, maybe that needs to be knocked off.
That's what I think. And they'll talk about anything. I mean, they talk about fireworks, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They so
to the committee, carry on.
Yeah. I agree with number 1. I mean, the first one we have 32 to expand domestic violence and anti-sexual harassment programs and improve multi-agency response. It's kind of vague, but the idea is that those things generally need expansion and funding.
I'm sorry to stop you, Barbara. Can we promote Danielle Bonilla to speak? He's a community board member.
Yeah, of course. Sure, why not?
Yeah, because he had some comments here and we are texting and I realized I don't think we heard from him.
Okay.
And I don't know how to promote him. Wait.
I can't do that because I'm not a co-host.
Oh,
I think he can talk now.
Oh, yeah, I can hear him. Go ahead, Danny.
Okay. I just want to just add on top of the speed cameras. I hope that you guys are able to put also speed bumps as well too.
Yes.
Just having speed cameras is good. Just to take a picture of anybody speeding. God forbid they hit anybody or crash into another car. People react to speeds way faster than they would react to a camera. And also, I think it's part of the capital.
I think speed bumps is not under DOT.
Oh, that would be under DOT? It wouldn't even be under public safety?
I don't, you know what? It's a great question.
Because I would think that's like that's a public safety, you know. They have speed bumps by the park. So people cross the street, and especially when they have what is that thing, the farmers market on Isham Street. So I don't know. I think it would be a good addition to in there. And I know you guys are not talking about the capital one, the capital projects, I think. But for the
You mean capital expense?
Yeah, for the cameras, I hope that they're able to. Yeah, for the other budget, I hope that you're also able to consider paths, especially with some of the assaults that have been happening. To see if NYP could consider putting cameras on the path. So, like, while I'm a runner and I sometimes run out over there alone. I heard that there's been like assaults out over there, especially by Inspiration Point. The next camera out over there is like on 181, and probably the camera out to Dykeman is probably the next deli store that's on Payson maybe, or even the Hudson. You know, like those are really far points to have cameras. And if there's ever to be assault, at least for the most part, there's a recording device that can go to the NYPD, because I heard, if I'm not mistaken, they monitor their cameras 24/7.
All right, may I make a comment about speed bumps? Speed bumps are no longer legal in New York City. You can request a speed hump, which is like just kind of a raised portion that's slightly longer. It's, it's a hump versus a bump.
Right. Yeah.
And you don't need to make a community board budget request for it. Anybody can basically just put in a 311 request, or just request the DOT, and they respond within about 2 months or 3 months of your request. They come out, measure the street, they see how much traffic there is on the street, if the street is wide enough, and so forth. So Danny, you can just go ahead and request a speed hump. Don't report the speed bumps on Seaman, because otherwise they'll take them out. Just telling you.
Listen, I'm all for people to slow down, and especially out on these streets. I think Luana, I live by Sherman too. I hear all these cars passing by all the time.
Yeah.
And also, that whole accident that happened by 207. I heard that there's been people trying to put, not to make the conversation long, I heard that there's been people trying to advocate for speed humps or bumps, or just to slow down traffic on this street, because it's too long, and people that have fast cars, they love to drive up and down the street. And the other thing about the cameras, I just hope that the NYPD considers the path a park, and to put more cameras out over there, so just in case of assaults happen.
I have a question as a new community board member, Barbara. Maybe you can help clarify, since I did not even know that speed bumps were illegal, and I've seen the humps. It's sort of like an extended bump, but longer and lower.
Right.
Is there a case to be made if we as a board request these humps along Sherman? Is there like a possibility for that, or do these requests have to be done like individually, like you have said? Wouldn't it gain traction if we as a board would do a request?
Sure, but I'm saying that, go to the DOT website and just read what it says. Okay?
Okay.
Just Google it, go to the
Right.
DOT.
The point is that it's not part of a budget conversation now.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's not a budget.
That's all.
Excellent. Thank you,
Yeah,
Joseph.
I hear that, and I also want to say thanks, Barbara, for clarifying that. That's helpful information.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay, so back to expense items. What do people think?
I mean, I thought when I talked about the speed cameras, I guess I was looking at the wrong form. It's the expense budget, not the capital budget for whatever reason. So I think that should go the first or the second. That's really should go, in my view, should be the first thing.
Speed cameras?
Yeah.
I would either put it 1 or 2. I think expanding the domestic violence, I would still, and anti-sexual harassment, I would put as number 1 still, because there's a lot of domestic violence. That's where, for example, a good chunk of the murders occur and so forth.
All right, so can we put number 2 then?
Sure.
But
I'm for it.
Let's see what everyone else in the committee thinks.
I agree.
And then number 3, we've had a lot of fires. There's
Wait a
a
minute,
lot
did everyone chimed in the committee about like number 2 will be the speed cameras? Is everyone okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with expand domestic violence as the first one, and then the speed cameras as my second.
Okay.
Anyone else? I don't know how many committee members we have here tonight.
I don't know about the talk. Can I say something, right?
Sure.
I think you guys are okay with like 1 and 2, and I would say for 3, like keep that same one, that mental health, for staff in the NYPD, because I think that's like super important, and I see that there's like not much mental health facilities for people to go to.
We are not there yet. I was asking about if everyone on the committee agree to put speed cameras as number 2 on our.
Oh yeah, no, that's what I said. That was
so
like the first thing I said. Like that you guys are for 1 and 2. I believe whatever you guys said, like those are.
Okay, so let's have anyone. Barbara, is anyone else in the committee that want to chime in about 1 and 2?
I guess not. They're not talking up now.
Okay.
Okay, item 3. Opinions?
That could stay number 3 as far as I'm concerned.
When we say mental health clinical profession staff to the NYPD, is that to support officers or to train officers or both?
It's a good question. I'm not sure.
That's a good question.
I think if I'm not mistaken, I heard that there's like a unit in the NYPD that if it's a problem that is like non-violent or someone that's like that has like mental health issues, they'll send someone that deals with that kind of problem, that's like probably a trained psychiatrist maybe, or something that's like non-life threatening, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong, someone.
No, you're correct about that. There's also a horrible increase in the suicide rate among police officers. And also an increase in the stress that officers are under because of the increase in crime rate and such. Incredible burnout. So I think that I would keep this as number 3.
Yeah, my recollection of that item is to add a mental health or clinical professional staff to the NYPD. And the response on that one is the agency recommends funding this budget request, but at this time, the availability of funds is uncertain. OMB supports the agency's position. So, certainly.
Keep it up there?
Keep it there, yeah.
Okay, keep it at 3. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, should we sort of informally vote on that, people? People vote. Who's in favor?
Wait, is everything else stay the way it is?
No, in terms of number 3, is everybody okay with that being number 3?
I am.
I am.
Yes.
I'm cool
Fine.
with that.
Yeah, Yosef, I'm fine.
Okay. All right.
I mean, from the looks of it, it seems like we're kind of keeping things pretty similar. The only thing that has changed is putting the speed cameras to second. So I would say, like, based on that, is there a specific order that we would like to see them in? That way we won't have to go through each and every one individually. Everyone could just say their ranking, and then it could be documented. And that
Well,
should
we
be
just got a couple more to do. I think we discussed, based on what Mary read to us, that the number 4, the expand public education programs on public safety issues, that's already being done. It's being done in the schools, and it's being done by the public safety officers, the community officers. So we can just take it out. Comments?
I'm sorry, what do you want to take out?
What Mary had read before about expand public education programs on public safety issues, fireworks, driving, bike, and noise. The reply back was it's already being done by the community officers and in the schools. So it's
right. So you
unnecessary
want
to
the
fund.
continuing support. That's what you mean?
No, I would just take it out because it's
been being done. I mean, so, you know, there's no reason to think it's not going to continue to be done, I don't think.
Continuing support means something's in progress.
Yeah.
And it's got to be supported. And that's not the case. I mean, you know, community affairs officers and youth education officers are established positions in the NYPD. And in the schools, you have education officers.
All right, but how long is this education program or whatever it is in practice? Like
I recall it being on there for a few years, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you could go either way.
They even teach kids how to ride bikes and stuff.
Doesn't hurt to keep it on as a CS.
That's what I'm leaning towards, CS.
Okay, fine, CS.
Because, you know, you don't want to have the impression that, oh, it's not on our list, therefore
I
they can
agree.
chuck it.
I agree.
Okay, CS.
Mm-hmm.
So rank it as number 4 and just make it a CS. Okay.
No, don't rank it as number 4. It'll end up in the end of the list as a CS.
Oh, end of the list. You're right.
A
End of the
CS
list.
instead of a number.
You're right. CS. Right. CS. Okay. The next one I think is very important. Increase funding to support the FDNY in addressing and correcting violations and enhance fire prevention in housing and nightlife and restaurant establishments. Very important. The
Extremely.
Extremely. Don't have to say anything about it. Very important. And that's plenty.
Barbara, I just want to point out that, you know, number 2 on the committee list, expand implicit bias, you skipped that one because you made the other one number 2.
Oh.
No, but that became number 3, no? This is not number 3 now? The current number 2.
It could be. It depends on whether you want to leave number 3, number 3. You know?
Yeah, I thought we were just kicking them down the road, just down a notch. Yeah, my thought was we were just kicking them down a notch. But the public education programs becomes CS, so it loses its number.
Okay. So what number it would be now? Number 4?
Okay, well, wait, so what? 1 is speed cameras, is that correct?
No, we said that domestic violence is
okay,
1.
so 1 is domestic violence.
Right.
2 is speed
cameras.
So 3 would be implicit violence. 4 would be mental health, clinical profession.
Uh-huh.
And then 5 would then be, again, increase funding to FDNY. And then the next would be continuing support for expand public education.
Right.
Okay. I'm fine with that ranking.
Same here.
Everyone else?
I have a question. What's the difference between 33 and 34?
I would say the location.
No,
I'm not sure exactly where though.
One specific to the NYPD.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
34 is specific to NYPD.
Oh, I see, because it says like multi-agency response. So I wonder if like in this multi-agency response, if that's like also considered NYPD, like I wonder if you
no,
could just.
Danny, number 34 is mental health and clinical support to NYPD officers. Number 33 is outreach to the community for mental health and substance abuse training programs.
Okay.
Okay.
I get it. I understand it now.
Okay. We're good. So.
All right, are we ready to vote?
I think we're ready to vote.
Okay.
So we agree on, I'll just recap. 1 is speed cameras. 2 is domestic violence.
No, Barbara. Domestic violence.
One.
I'm sorry. 1 is domestic violence. 2 is speed cameras. 3 is implicit bias, mental health. 4 is mental health clinical profession, NYPD. 5 is support the FDNY. And then 6 is continuing support for public education programs.
Okay.
But no number on that. I mean, that's just, okay.
Continuing support.
Yeah, continuing support.
Okay.
But number 1 is domestic violence. And I'm going to write that in my book right now because I keep flubbing that. 1, domestic violence. 2, speed camera. And then I have it. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
3, implicit violence. Implicit bias. 4, mental NYPD. 5, FDNY. 6, continuing support for public education. Okay. All right, let's take a vote. It's not really a resolution, it's just a concurrence. A vote. All in favor of this? Anybody against it? I'm for it. I raised my hand. Okay. All right, is anyone against it? Speak up, because I can't really see all the hands. Speak up if you oppose this. Okay, seems unanimous. Okay. All right. So now let me just be sure who's here. Joseph is here. OC. Danny is here. Mary Anderson.
I'm not on the committee though.
I know, but you're still a board member. I know.
Yeah.
Jamar Alkabar. And our new member, what's our new member's name?
Jumirna, please, Jumirna.
Jumirna, I'm sorry. Okay, and our new member's name is what?
Luana Ferreira.
Luana Ferreira. Okay, is there anyone else? Am I missing anybody? Let me look here. Let me see. Participants? Barbara, Chanel, I don't need. Jamira, I've got. Who's Manuel de Jesus Garcia?
He was the presenter for that.
Oh, for that thing. Okay.
New Year's Eve celebration.
Oh, okay, all right. And who's Latina? Says Latina.
Don't know.
Okay, all right. Okay, and attendees.
Maybe
So
that
that's
person
it.
can unmute and tell us.
Yeah, unmute and tell me.
or not.
Or not?
It's fine. They don't have
Okay.
to.
Okay. All right. So I think we're done. Are we done?
Someone has to have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Okay.
All
We're
right.
good.
Okay.
And
Have a
Jamira,
good night,
thank you
guys.
for- Jamira, thank you for screen sharing your list.
screen.
We could not have done the meeting
course.
without it. Couldn't have done
Of
it.
course. Have a good night, everyone. Be
You
safe.
were the
Bye.
force,
Good
the
night.
force that led us through. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Barbara.
you.
Pleasure.
Huh?
Enjoying your committee.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Oh
Mary,
yeah,
for being here.
Mary, come every month. You're really an asset. Very, very good. As if you don't have enough.
I try
meetings
to
already.
actually, because I like this committee and, this and health and environment, I try to get to them. Parks, but,
Yeah,
can't always do them all.
Yeah, but also it's public safety and a seniors aging really overlap a lot. And I'm glad you were here for that guy's presentation and spoke up. And
Yeah.
I could back you on it. I
Right,
really.
because I wouldn't have known about it. The other thing I want to remind people about tomorrow is I don't know how many people on this committee I've known about it, but tomorrow is the DA's office and WICOA are having a seniors safety and wellness event on 166th Street in front of that board office, where the board office is and the DA's offices. In that little street there, 166 between St. Nicholas and Audubon. We're having an outdoor fair for seniors from 10 until 2 tomorrow. The weather's supposed to be nice, so we'll have it outdoors. We're having all kinds of tables of, wellness events and, vendors and presenters, and we're going to have a DJ, and we're having a yoga instructor do a demo, and we're hoping to have a couple of other things. So it should be a fun day.
Well, that's great. And hopefully you can pull people over from the Bronx 7 and the M100 bus stop as people are coming and going
Yeah.
for medical appointments.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe a sign or something, maybe a little sandwich board with an
We'll be
arrow.
noisy. We'll be noisy in the street, so
No
it'll
noise,
be
that'll pull
obvious.
them over. It'll be obvious.
We're
Okay.
gonna have PPE equipment, stuff,
Oh, okay,
giveaways,
so that'll pull them over.
all
That's
kinds of
great.
giveaways and whatevers.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Okay. All right. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.